everyone. We are back with our mock interview series, and right now we have Aditya with us. Hey Aditya, so he is interviewing with us for an AI engineering role. So we are going to do a very in-depth analysis of his profile. What are the most common questions that you will face during AI engineering interview with some system design, and see if there is any need for any coding questions, DSA, Python related. And also, we are going to do a very in-depth post-interview analysis. In there, we will see what are the gaps that in today's generation AI engineer face and how we can fill those gaps. Okay, so Aditya, please introduce yourself.
Uh, Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for the opportunity. My name is Aditya Pratap, and I completed my Bachelor of Engineering from Sir M. Visvesvaraya Institute of Technology in Computer Science and Engineering with a CGP of 8.7. I worked as an Android and Generative AI intern at Mindmetrics, where my main responsibility was building AI-powered Android applications using Kotlin and Jetpack Compose. I've also built end-to-end machine learning and deep learning projects such as phishing detection system, customer churn prediction using artificial neural network, and LSTM next word prediction. I'm passionate about data science and eager to start my career by solving real-world problems using data.
Okay, that sounds interesting, Aditya. So if you could pick one of your project which you are very passionate about and you have built end to end, and if you could explain that project uh, from starting from the model training till the model deployment, and also don't forget to introduce all the technologies that you have used, which includes your libraries, your model framework, and where you have deployed. Okay, include everything.
Okay, sir. So I would like to discuss phishing detection system, which I have. So I would like to explain my phishing detection system, which is an end-to-end machine learning project designed to classify whether a website is phishing or legitimate. So I started with data pre-processing, where I handled missing values, duplicates, and inconsistencies in the data set. So I also performed feature engineering and prepared for the data for model training. For model development, I used Python and scikit-learn. So I trained and compared multiple classification algorithms and evaluated them using metrics such as accuracy, precision, recall, F1 score, ROC, and AOC. So based on these evaluation results, I select the best performing model. So after that, I designed the project uh, as a modular ML pipeline covering data ingestion, data validation, data transformation, model training, and model evaluation. So I also implemented, I would say, logging and exception handling to make the pipeline easier and to maintain and debug track issues and simplify debugging.
Okay.
For the
Okay.
technology stack, I mainly used Python, Pandas, NumPy for data preprocessing, scikit-learn for machine learning, and MongoDB for data storage, and Flask obviously for the application layer.
Okay. Please tell me the model that you have used for the phishing detection and why you have used that model.
The model which I have used in phishing detection system, I used like a random forest as the final model. So and
Why the random
I
forest and not just any classification model, because it's a classification
no,
model.
I experimented with logistic regression, decision tree, random forest, ADA boost, and gradient boosting. Whereas I like random forest was the best performing model because it achieved the best balance of precision, recall, F1 score, and ROC USC while generalizing well on unseen data.
Okay. And how were you, like, what's the hurdle that you were facing while detecting, like, while getting the phishing detection of the websites, and how did you overcome it?
Challenges, like one of the challenges was I faced was that phishing and legitimate websites can have very similar characteristics. So relying on a single feature could lead to incorrect predictions. So I addressed this by using multiple URL and website related features and perform feature engineering together with. I also compared multiple classification model instead of a single module, directly choosing one module. And finally, I evaluated them using precision, recall, F1 score, and ROC UC, and selected the model that provided the best overall performance.
Okay. Okay. So have you worked with GenAI, LLMs, and RAG architecture?
Like I have basic knowledge about GenAI and LLM. Currently, I have started studying and working on it.
Okay. So if you could explain me, if your LLM is hallucinating, and what would you do to first improve its accuracy, and then how would you measure its accuracy? First, explain me what is an LLM, what is RAG, what is agentic RAG, and what is hallucination, and how would you solve this hallucination error if you're facing?
So LLM, like it stands for large language model, and it is a deep learning model trained on large amount of data to to give accurate, relevant, and consistent responses. And if we talk about LLM hallucination, it is when the model generates a confident and convincing response that is factually incorrect or not supported by the provided information.
Okay. And how would you solve the hallucination error in there?
Uh, I would evaluate both retrieval to reduce. I would first provide the LLM with clear prompts and relevant context, and I would definitely use RAG to retrieve information from a trusted knowledge base. So I can also reduce the temperature for more deterministic responses.
Okay. And how, like, when would you use the fine tuning and when would you use the RAG architecture? Because it's just related to AI engineering interview. So that's why I'm just like doubling down on AI engineer stuff. So if you could explain me like the difference between fine tuning, RAG, and where would you use RAG as compared to fine tuning?
Uh, I would use fine tuning when I want to change how the model behaves, such as its response style, format, or performance on a specific task. Like fine tuning, it modifies the model parameters, whereas RAG it provides additional context without changing the model itself.
Okay. So, okay, I know that you're not that comfortable with AI engineering. So we will deep down, uh, double down on your current classical machine learning and system design questions for your projects, which is your churn prediction and the phishing detection. So these are both kind of finding out the false negatives. So what were the metrics that you were using in order to get the accuracy, precision, recall, and how were you finding these model accuracy in the?
So uh, I evaluated them model performance by using precision recall, F1 score, and RSA USC. But recall is the most important matrix for phishing detection and customer churn prediction. For both projects, I use confusion matrix along with this accuracy, precision recall, and F1 score. So for phishing detection and churn prediction, I would pay particular attention to recall when false negatives are costly, because in phishing detection, missing an actual phishing website can be very dangerous, whereas in customer churn prediction, missing a customer who is about to churn can lead to revenue loss.
Okay, so
So
tell me the difference between precision and recall.
precision measures how many predicted positives are actual positives, whereas recall measures how many actual positives are correctly identified by the model.
Okay, so you have done both of these uh, like machine learning models from the scratch, right? And you have performed the feature engineering hyperparameter tuning from using the scikit-learn, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I have a question for you. So in your phishing detection system, you evaluated the multiple classification model before finalizing your whole architecture. So if we compare the logistic regression model and a random forest model, so how does the mathematical decision boundary fundamentally differ in both these? Furthermore, if you engineer a very high correlation features, which is your URL length and your number special characters in there, so how would the internal mechanics of both these models would react, and how did you specifically feature engineer process handle this?
Okay. So basically, logistic regression creates a linear decision boundary, whereas random forest can capture complex nonlinear boundaries through multiple decision trees. Like random forest is an ensemble technique that combines multiple decision trees. So random forest can capture complex nonlinear boundaries through multiple decision tree splits. So highly correlated features can make logistic regression, I would say, coefficients unstable due to multicollinearity, while random forest is less sensitive. Although feature importance can be distributed between correlated features, I would detect this using correlation analysis and remove redundant features when necessary.
Okay, so there were like multiple 3 4 points. So if someone asks you this question, you should answer with like logistic regression is highly sensitive. Multicollinearity would actually inflate the variance of the coefficient estimates in there, rendering the model which is unstable and making the feature importance scores entirely unreliable in there. So, and in random forest, you need to explain like robust, it is very robust to correlated features in terms of pure predictive accuracy. However, the model's importance, which is the main decrease of impurity in there, becomes diluted as the Guinea importance gets randomly split among the correlated variables during the tree construction in there. So some of the key pointers that you need to include is mentioning the Guinea, entropy for the trees, explain the necessity of L1 or L2 regularization for linear models, and justify their scikit feature selection methodologies.
Okay,
Okay,
so
the
instead of uh, directly jumping into the final conclusion, I should give all this Guinea and for linear ones. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to give the answers, right? You need to explain the approach of where you are going. Then interviewer will understand of what you are trying to say, what you are trying to communicate, and what are you thinking about the question. They don't want the right answer. Okay, the right answer, like they can search the right answer, or they can find out using Google or AI in that matter. But they want the thinking of your question, like how you're thinking about the question, what is your approach, and how will you come to that answer, not just the plain answer, because plain answer would be given by Gemini also, but they won't give you the approach. So uh, in the interview, they want to see the approach. Next, during a customer churn prediction pipeline, you have predicted the banking data, right?
Yeah,
And deployed it as an interactive Streamlit application. So if you're working in an enterprise environment, churn prediction is universally orchestrated as a large scale batch process. Okay. So let's suppose if you're asked to scale this application to a data set of 10 million banking users uh, in the night. Okay. So how would you orchestrate a synchronous Streamlit app or a Flask endpoint, design an end-to-end batch inference pipeline to handle this volume, store the predictions, and serve them to the customer success team?
so I have to deploy this model as an scalable API, or use cloud services and automate predictions. So for 10 million banking users, I would not uh, use Streamlit or Flask to run predictions. I would design it as an offline batch inference pipeline. And
Okay.
after that, I would process data in partitions using a distributed framework such as uh, a Spark, or if the volume requires it. And the trained churn model would run batch predictions on those partitions and generate outputs. So, uh, like customer ID, churn probability, predicted loss, predicted class, and prediction timestamp.
Okay. Okay. Uh, okay. Uh, it was good. Your answer was moving on the right direction, but there were a couple of things that you need to add. First of all, when you are saying about the whole architecture and workflow, you need to add like something like Apache Kafka or Kubernetes, which will help you to trigger the pipeline in the nightly based of time based schedule in there. Then while using your data ingestion and the pre-processing, uh, you need to you need to include the centralized data structures. It could be a Google BigQuery or the Snowflake. Then in the distributed inference, you would actually need a PySpark, Databricks, or any batch prediction service. Then in storage, you could say, like you mentioned it correctly, the cloud platform. Uh, the last thing that I would like to mention is consumption. So while we are using the downstream systems, such as any automation workflows or any business intelligence dashboard to query this database to segment users in the prediction uh,
Okay.
and trigger the automated retention clamps. Okay. Okay. No worries. I have one last question, then we will move to a coding round and we see how good are your coding skills. related to model development and how would you perform a basic feature engineering task. Okay, so uh, you have also built a Flask application design for your real-time phishing prediction, right?
Yeah.
Using MongoDB. So using your phishing detection system, you have designed a real-time inference using a Flask. So let's suppose if an internet service provider wants to integrate your model into a network gateway of 5,000 URLs per second, which is a synchronous Flask application, will crash under the load. So how would you architect a low latency, which is under 50 milliseconds, streaming inference system to handle this throughput?
So, latency.
It's okay. Like you can start with the basic in the Flask, how we use the load balancing, in-memory caching, or asynchronous feature extraction.
So at 5,000 URLs per second with a latency of with a latency target below 50 milliseconds, I would not send every request directly to a single Flask instance. I would decouple the ingestion, feature extraction, and inference, and then downstream the actions. So first, the network gateway would publish incoming URLs to a high throughput message broker such as Apache Kafka. Kafka, it helps observe traffic spikes, partition the workload, and then distribute event across multiple consumers. So to meet the latency requirement, I would avoid database cells in the critical inference path and frequently needed mm, what I would say frequently needed metadata. It could be cached using something like Redis.
Okay. Yeah,
So
you are
and
going correctly.
I would scale Kafka partitions and inference pods based on throughput and consumer lag.
Okay. Yeah, there were like couple of good points that you mentioned about Kafka, in-memory caching, and decoupling the inference in the Flask. Uh, but there were a couple of things that you could also add, uh, but it's okay. Uh, it was a good answer. Okay, so now if you could share your screen and open Google Colab.
Well, I don't think. I don't think I've installed. I've installed
Uh,
Google Colab.
it's not on the it's on the web actually. So if you could open a Google Chrome and then you just have to type in collab.google.com. Yes, collab.google.com. Yes, open a new notebook. Okay, and from the left three lines you see, if you click on it,
Code snippets.
you no you would have some of the already installed data in there. So if you could take one of the data sets, yep, click on it. options, and there you will see the file section, files just below the keys on the left menu. Yes, just below that. Below
This
the,
one.
yep, yes. And just below that, uh, we do have a preloaded data set in there. So if you could find just below the files as well, yes, click on it. Yep, here we have the sample data. Yep, if you open the sample data here,
Okay,
just take the yeah, take one of the
California housing
California.
test.
Yes, take the train data set. Uh, Show me how you think about this data set, the whole pre-processing part on what does this data tell you, and yeah, and tell me how would you uh, train this model and which model would you use. Okay, just call it in the notebook using pandas and numpy, pd.read csv, call it there, describe, and do the basic pre-processing part.
Longitude, latitude, then. So basically, what I have to do with these data sets? Could you please tell me?
Yeah, basically you just have to tell me what this data set tells you, and how would you build a model for this data set, which model would you choose based on the data set. And so this is the California price prediction, right? So you have all the data points and you have to predict the price. So which model you would choose, the pre-processing part, the basic we say the EDA part, which is the exploratory data analysis, in which you will build some of the graphs and do the data analysis on there. So if you could start with the basic stuff, and then we will uh, see.
So, sir, like since the target is house price.
No, I don't want to see it in here. You have to close the screen and show me the command for read CSV, and then start from there.
Okay, so I should close this one.
Yeah, close this one. Write the command for read CSV in here. It's already loaded. You just need to call first import pandas, numpy, matplotlib.
Mm, California underscore housing underscore drone dot csv. Yes, sir. This is just give me a moment.
Debug this. Where do you think the error is? Because we have the data set right here.
Yeah. Think now it should work. Yes, sir.
Okay, print this data set, this data frame. Okay, great. Now describe, uh, yes, shape also, both of them. Get the info. How many of them are null in there?
Okay, wait, I made a mistake. It is
Okay, great. Now tell me what are the first exploratory data analysis steps that you would take and how would you pre-process this data?
uh, I would check missing values and duplicates, and after that, I would analyze feature distributions using visualization techniques like histograms, identify outliers using box plots.
Okay, so if you could try just figuring out the null values and using box plot, if you could find any outlier, and tell me which model would you choose in order to uh, predict this house price, and why would you choose that model?
Which model should I will choose for this
Yes, for
California
the
housing
house
test?
price prediction. Yes.
Then I will use visualization techniques like okay, as then find correlation matrix. Is equal to true. Things this work.
Okay. Uh, I think that's it. I think I knew that you know how to build a histogram and what are the different parameters that you need to fill in. That's great. Uh, Now, if you could tell me which model would you choose, and we will wrap up this interview session, and I will give you analysis of this interview.
Uh, So
Yeah.
since this is a regression problem, I would start with linear regression as a baseline. Then I would try decision tree, random forest, and gradient boosting.
Why would you choose like a decision tree or random forest in there? Like, what's your thinking behind it?
Like, because relationships between location, income, and population and the target column house prices, they may be non-linear as well. So I would compare their performance and select the best performing model based on their evaluation metrics.
Okay. And how would you measure the model accuracy in there? And what are the different hyperparameters that you would tune if the accuracy is low?
Sorry, could you please repeat the last part of this question?
How would you measure the accuracy in there? And what are the different parameters do you think that would help you improve the accuracy in there?
So since this is a regression problem, I would evaluate performance using uh, mean absolute error, mean squared error, root mean square error, and R squared. So I'd primarily look for root mean squared error because large errors in house prediction can be particularly important. While I will also be checking with mean absolute error and root square for a complete evaluation. And hyperparameters, to improve the model performance, I would focus on feature engineering, handling missing values, duplicates, and outliers, removing irrelevant features as well, and tuning parameters using techniques like grid search CV and randomized search CV. I'd also use cross validation.
Okay, I think that's it. Great. I think this is a very good interview on your part. Uh, so you mentioned you're still currently in your bachelor's, right?
Yes,
I think that's very good, Aditya. Just based on your completing your education right now.
I completed
Ah,
my graduation in June 2026.
okay.
So I
I
am
still
currently looking for opportunities in the field of data science and AI engineering. I have also given some interviews related to data science and data engineering. So
great. I think this was a good interview. There were a couple of things that I would like to mention or highlight it to you.
Okay.
First, if you're going for an AI engineering interview, you cannot say that you don't know much about RAG, LLM, agentic RAG, or how the agents work right now, because that's the need of the hour. It is different if you just go for a classic data scientist role or a machine learning role, but still you need to work on your AI engineering skills. Secondly, you know technologies. I know that you have a very high ceiling. Uh, your answers were matching the keywords, but you were struggling to hold those answers. Now, if there are a couple of things that you would like to take away from this interview, first, brush up your AI engineering skills, and second, focus on the logic behind those answers. You're giving the right answers, but I don't want the right answers. I want the logic behind the answers. I want the story behind the answers. So, what are you conveying? What are you actually telling me? Why did you reach to that conclusion? Why? How did you reach to that conclusion? I'm more focused on that rather than just you're just telling me the right answer. Like, why would you choose a linear regression? Why would you choose a gradient boosting? Why would you choose a decision tree in this matter? If that you can focus on, I think you can clear any interview.
So for the answer which I am giving, I should have a proper reason behind it.
Yes,
Okay.
the business logic and the technological, from technological standpoint, the logic behind your answers, and focus on like the JD. Like if the interview specifically mentions the AI engineer, focus on brushing up the AI engineering skills.
Could you please tell me what are the things or skills I should master in GenAI, LLM, and agentic AI?
These are the only things that you mentioned right now. GenAI, LLM, RAG. How would you evaluate your RAG? What is fine tuning? How would you do a fine tuning? What is the trade-offs between between the RAG and the fine tuning? How would you calculate the hallucination of like the LLM, and how would you fix that? So these are only the main topics. Like AI engineering is not that big, it's still growing. So if you could master these 5-10 topics, I think you're ready to go. And then you have to focus some of the very intricate, like small details in the system design, like how would you scale the infra? How would you measure the hallucinations? How would you correct if it is answering in a controlled environment? So how would you actually control the AI outputs, and yeah, and keep and always keep the human in the loop in the critical scenarios. So these are the main things that you need to focus on.
Okay. I will work on it.
Yeah, definitely, I know
Uh,
that you will work on it. Okay, great. See you. I think that was a pretty damn good interview, and all the best for your future. You will
Okay.
find a good job sooner than
Okay, sir.
later.
Thank you, and I will stay in touch with you. If there is anything, I will definitely reach out to you. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
with us. Yeah, keep listening to our podcast, AI Engineering Interview on YouTube. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.